We're back.
Number 70.
Woohoo! I always knew I'd make 70. Hi, everybody. We're the Wildflowers.
Yes,
I'm Judy.
I'm Carol.
I'm Peggy.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, indeed. How's everybody doing?
Doing very well.
Good. It's been a while.
Wow.
No, we do back-to-back podcasts just as an FYI.
Yeah, we just change our shirts.
Exactly.
Don't give away all the magic.
Sonia, there's one thing. I watched a short documentary this past week, and it's actually nominated for an Academy Award. It's called The Last Repair Shop. You would like it, I think. I think you'd like it, but you're not a big fan of documentaries. That's the only.
It's not that I'm not a big fan of them. I really don't watch them.
Right.
I don't know. I always think I want to watch something. Like, you know what I was watching last night?
Columbo?
All night? No.
Wrong.
No, I switched it up.
What are you
boy.
watching?
I was watching all Marvel movies. Captain America, and
All right,
I
she's
really enjoyed them. I love
Well,
them.
I don't like Marvel movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love any kind of superhero.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I loved Superman.
Oh, I
Anyway,
like Superman.
Superman's the best.
The
Superman is the best, Judy.
No, the old ones, but I don't like the newer stuff now.
No, it's fun.
So this is a short documentary. It's only 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you would be able to be.
Why, you think I have a short attention span?
I see.
No.
No.
It's about this person that created this shop to fix instruments and broken instruments or whatever, and he donates them to people, mostly children, who can't afford to have their
Oh, very
instrument.
nice.
And you should see the kids' reactions when they get these. You know, this little girl, she's holding the violin. She goes, "I just love my violin,"
Aww.
and she learns. And it's more about the education of these kids with the music. And some of them were homeless. The families didn't have the wherewithal to buy it. You couldn't get them. I'm sorry
Or
about
rent
this.
it.
Rent it. And and the very ending of it is just so sweet.
But
And,
why is it the last repair shop?
I guess they look at it that's the last place that the instrument's going to go, and then it's going to go finally to its.
Oh, okay.
So if they break the instrument, they have to throw it out. They can't bring it to another repair shop.
no,
Because that was the last
So
repair shop.
where can you find this?
This is on. I'm trying to remember. It was on. Did I write that?
MTV.
No. It was on Hulu, the Disney Channel, and
Disney owns Hulu.
and one other place I can't remember. So if you
Alright.
have the Disney Channel,
I do. I have.
I think you'd like it. It's very
Okay.
entertaining and sweet, and it follows like 3 different people and their instruments.
Sounds like a Steve Hartman story kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It does all those good feel good stories.
So that's what I thought was kind of sweet. So.
All right. That
And
sounds
you have a
good.
word, Miss Peggy?
Yeah, I do have a word.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not looking.
Ilorophile.
Spell it.
AILOROPHILE.
I feel like we've done this one before.
No,
It's
we
the
didn't.
love of something, or like something.
Oh,
Fine.
did we do this one?
I think
we
we
may
did.
have done this one already.
But I forgot.
But a long time ago.
Yeah, so
Alora file.
Ilorophile. Ilorophile.
You do? Are you cleaning it up?
I don't know, but it sounds familiar.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Judy is an Ilorophile.
Wait, is this a lover of cats?
Yes!
Did do this. And you used the same example. Okay.
Oh, well, that was a repeat.
Okay,
See?
But you know what?
But we
It's
didn't
fine because
remember.
I know, because we didn't remember it. Right?
Yeah, we didn't remember it.
That's
Yeah, well, that's why now, this year, look what I do. Now, I write them down in the back of my book.
Well, I didn't have any prepared banter, but I did see a teaser for a book, which I don't remember, and it was about, but it was dealing a topic about how to be a better communicator.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and I remember the general. I probably could find this because it just came out, but they were interviewing the author, and some interesting statistics were discussed. One of them was that when they ask introverts what was the best part of your day? Usually they would say, oh, they'd have an idea. Extroverts would have their own idea. And what you would think, an extrovert would be like when I was with, say, like
Right.
today,
Right.
reading with you, and you would think introverts would say when you're at
Alone.
home reading my book, but really it's the same.
Yeah. Oh, the same.
It's usually would be when they're spending time with people, when you're communicating. And so this was about how to be a better communicator. And one of the concepts was, and again, I want to read this book, which is how to have conversations with strangers. And one of the suggested things were like ask questions, like interesting questions. Like, for example, if you had a crystal ball, what's the one thing you'd like to know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of like asking,
yeah.
not a run-of-the-mill question, but it really
Right.
kind of gets
Right.
to know.
Yeah.
And so I would like to know, if you had a crystal ball, what's one thing you'd like to know?
Oh,
Only
my
one
goodness.
thing.
Okay,
Only one-
only one
Yeah,
thing.
only one thing.
I would like to know what my grandkids are going to end up being.
Oh,
that's
that's
sweet.
very nice.
That's sweet. Okay. I would like. I had it in my head, now it's gone. I'd like to have my memory back. I had it, now I can't
I
remember.
would
what
like to remember who I
But yeah,
am.
I'd like to know who I am. Where
That's
I belong.
okay. But anyway, I just
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was an interesting thing.
So what would you like to know?
I think I would like to know, what comes next after we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
comes next?
Yeah.
What's next? Yeah,
I'm not that confident that anything
What
does.
would you like to know for sure?
I guess I would.
Yeah.
But in a way I wouldn't, because even though I don't really believe that anything comes next, I do always have that little bit of hope that
something.
this
What
doesn't
if it
end,
proves?
you know.
Right, yeah.
There you
yeah.
go.
You know.
I thought it was interesting, but
Yeah.
if I'll pick up the book. I'm gonna if I can.
What
find
is
it.
the book?
It's a book about communication. It just came out.
Oh,
How to be a
okay.
better communicator.
Oh, okay.
And it seemed very interesting. So.
Oh.
Well, I did have a couple of words. I just
Oh,
realized, and I forgot about this, but don't you cheat.
I can't see that part.
Okay, so I was reading a review of the biography of Carson McCullers' A Life by Mary V. Dearborn. It's coming out by Knopf.
Okay.
And the reviewer is Dwight Gamer's review, titled From Literary Wonderkin to Pitiful Spectacle. And I came across these words in it, and let me see if you guys know it. Contumely. Contumely.
No, I've never even heard
And I
that
had
one.
to look it up because I had never heard it either. And that means insolent or insulting language or treatment. So,
Oh.
yeah. And another word, polycule. Polycule.
Polycule. Polycule. Well, poly means many. So
Many
cules.
molecules.
No, that's good.
Many cells.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, that probably is somewhat. All the people linked through their relationships, usually romantic and or sexual, to one or more members of a polyamorous group. Our polycule doubled in size when my spouse started seeing Boris, whose husband has 6 other partners. So it's
It's like in a polygamous
I won't say-
relationship.
Yeah, I think that was,
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah. So those were the 2 words. I was like, oh, let me write these down, and so there we are.
Well, I just want to give a plug for the book that I was talking about. It's called Super Communicators by Charles Duhigg. It just came out now.
okay.
It's a hardcover. So,
Oh, cool.
anyway, it seemed interesting. So
That
we're,
cover looks familiar.
yeah, for a book podcast, I should have been prepared with the title.
Well, no, it's totally fine.
So there we
Are
are.
we
So-
going to drink some wine?
Well, if you insist, Miss Peggy, since it's your turn, we may as well.
Another red. Okay.
Yeah, we've been sticking to the red.
I try to, because I know that you guys don't really like white
That's
stuff
not
much.
true. I like white.
You know
I
what?
do.
Don't do that
I
for
like
that reason.
white.
Seriously, Peggy.
And then
We need to
this
try.
one here, this isn't the wine that I wanted to get. The wine I wanted to get, I couldn't find it anyplace. I go on that website,
Total.
Wine Folly,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and there was a little short video, and she was tasting Tempranillo, and the Tempranillo that she was tasting was from, they're all from Spain, but from this region is Ribera del Duero.
Okay, all right.
I tried to roll my R's out
It's
the road.
got very good legs. It's got excellent legs, I have to say. So that's good.
It's got legs.
I'm doing Peggy's white paper trick, and I'm gonna say,
Ooh,
I got a lot of letters
where's
on
my
it.
little thingy?
I could say,
They're also
they're so
close.
close.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say ruby. No, garnet. I'm saying garnet.
Here, let's do this.
Okay.
I don't see a difference when I move it here
I do.
to here. Well, maybe a little. Maybe because the light
Oh
is
yeah, because you could see the rim too.
Oh, I smell cherry, very clearly.
Yeah, so I would say this is probably. I'm only judging by the rim where it's on the
Yes,
top.
yeah.
So I would say then it's red fruit.
Yeah, I'm saying
Okay.
cherry.
I don't know much about this. I never tasted it.
Ooh.
I have never had a wine
It's,
from
it's
this
black
region.
cherry. Black cherry.
Smells good.
Okay.
But is she right about the black
Oh,
cherry?
I don't know. It's my
Probably
phone.
not.
I have it in my phone.
Probably not.
She's like, yeah.
I didn't prepare because, as I started to say, I couldn't get the wine that I wanted to get anywhere around where I lived.
okay.
And Total Wine didn't have it. I checked local wine stores. Stu Leonard's didn't have it. But then I looked up a wine from the same region that was around the same
You do
price.
such good research.
And
For the podcast.
and I found this one, and Stu Leonard's had it. So it's Vinos de Finca Truce.
Now, did they help you find that bottle when you did you talk to somebody at Stu Leonard's, or did you just seek that out?
No, I went in the store and I said I left my paper home, and I have the name of it is the Tempranillo. It's from Ribera del Duero, and I think it's Truce. And the guy was standing right in front of it. He said.
This one?
But
so-
the fact that you forgot your paper.
Yeah, it's somewhere on my kitchen table.
Listen, I want to go in. Can I start tasting?
Oh, so anyway, yes. Okay, so the 2019 Truce opens to aromas of cherries, black raspberries, toasted spices, vanilla, and leather, all taking shape. The palate is medium-bodied
This is good.
and structured fine tannins that result in a silky mouthfeel, which
Definitely.
continues through the finish.
It's got to finish, definitely, and
This is much better than the one I
super.
bought
Oh,
last
no, I
time.
like the one you
Oh, no,
bought.
no. I like this one much better.
She's like, oh no.
This is very good. Where does this come from? Spain?
What's your reaction?
Yeah, Spain.
Your reaction
I
is.
don't know. I thought it was going to be better.
No, I like
I
this.
can tell by
one.
your
Yeah.
reaction. It's like,
I like it a lot.
she likes it.
I like it too.
It does have a long finish.
Which is important.
It really does. Which is important. It's important. Okay, so alcohol content.
Oh, it's got a lot of legs. I'm going to say at least 14.
Yeah. Wait, you're supposed to guess, Miss Peggy.
Oh, well, I didn't see it yet. I would say,
14.
14.
Yes, me
Ah,
too.
what do you?
14.
Okay, now let's do the big reveal. What is it?
Ooh, it's 14 and a half.
Ooh, I was gonna say 14.5.
I like it even more.
And it's 100% Tempranillo.
Ooh.
The one that I wanted to buy was 95 Tempranillo and 5% Merlot.
Oh, okay.
But,
Oh, wow.
But you know what? I'm the worst with picking out the hints of whatever is inside. But
You're not the
I
worst.
got-
You're better than I am.
No, the cherry comes right through when you smell this. It's really delicious.
It's 3 months in
First.
French and American oak barrels. Fruity, velvety, and
Definitely
lingering.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a spot on description.
It's delicious. I'm giving this a 5.
Wow.
No, I'm gonna give it a 4.
I give it a 5.
I want it to be a little more fruity than this. Unless, maybe what I was eating is affecting my taste.
I don't know. All those M&Ms you mean?
Yeah.
I had some too. The minor pie.
No, I like.
Let me
I
cleanse
feel like
my
it's a
palate.
little dry, which I like.
Oh, it's very
I
dry.
love
I
dry
like
wine.
dryness. I
do you
love.
like
I
it dry?
love dry wine.
So I don't know if I realized that.
Oh yeah, I do.
Because I love
Yeah.
dry.
We all love
We
dry.
all love dry wine. Dry humor.
Dry
wine. I'm dry too.
No, you know what? It's my kids that get annoyed at me with the dry wine. They, you like the
I don't
dry
like fruity tasting wines. I really don't.
I don't either, but I expected this to be a little more fruity.
I think it
I
has
do
a lot
like
of
it.
fruit. I mean, it smelled the fruit. You can smell.
I'm gonna
right
find
out.
that other one because like that was
Go
like
for
a
it.
rave review on that one.
All right, so how much would you pay for this?
Oh, I would pay a lot for this wine. I would pay, let's say, $22 for this.
Read your mind. 24.
$16.80.
Wow! Oh my
I'm
God!
And that was in Stu Leonard's.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go back and I'm gonna get this bottle.
She's stopping there on the way.
Take a picture, otherwise
Yeah.
you're gonna forget.
Yeah, I probably will.
Well, it'll be on our website too.
Well, we
Or
just-
on
She's
our-
gonna stop on the way home so she and Niall could
Well,
get.
I hope that they're open. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
It's Sunday.
That's all right. I'll be back.
I'm gonna be back.
Oh, I'll be back. No, this is delicious.
Well, I'm glad that you like it.
All right, so
Okay.
shall we move to the book?
And I think that it's your turn.
It is my turn. I'm gonna do this book. I've seen this book out a lot. It's a brand new book, and it's been in all the bookstores and getting a lot of publicity. The author is Daniel Mason. He's nominated for a finalist for the Pulitzer. Not for
Wow.
this book, but for a different book that he wrote.
Yeah,
This
I've
is
seen
not his
that
first
in
book.
theaters.
Yes, this is called Northwoods. It came out in 2023, and it's by Random House. The cover is very, I don't know, just stuck out to me a lot. But
Yeah, I'm curious about the cover.
Yes.
I'm not sure that would draw me
it
to
didn't draw me to it either, but it made me notice the book because it was faced out a lot.
Do
And
you
a lot
like
of
the cover?
It's a mountain lion.
Yeah.
It goes with the title,
Yeah.
Northwoods, mountain lion.
this is that, and they call it a catamount, which is another word for a
Okay.
mountain lion.
Okay.
You know,
Right,
and it's a lot of bookstores have copies. Even the bookstore we went to had recently.
Yeah.
The small bookstore
Right.
had it. Barnes & Noble has it
Yeah,
stacked
I've
up.
seen it all over, yeah.
And so I didn't pick it up, but it did receive a lot of praise from readers and reviewers on Facebook. I'm part of I mentioned it here a lot, called the Modern Literature group. It's a Facebook group. Got a lot of good recommendations from them, and this one got a lot of praise. So I said, you know what, I've seen
okay.
it. Let me go and get it. So I did, and I finished it up about a week ago, I said.
Okay.
The concept is a great concept. It deals with a parcel of land. It's the story of a piece of land and a house on that land in western Massachusetts, which is a beautiful part of the country.
Yeah.
You know, and it's told from the perspective of the humans and the animals and the insects and the fauna
Oh,
that
wow.
have inhabited
Right up our alley.
it over the centuries. You know, starting from like Puritans, you know, escape all the way up until like present time, and that's a concept that I'm drawn to, and I'm like, wow, because how many times have you thought I sit around thinking like, wow, who lived in this house before me, or
Oh,
what
yeah,
was here before this
definitely.
house was here, or
Yeah.
you know, you find like, you know, I found a lot of crazy buried stuff, you know, in my lawn over the time. And I'm like, how did this get here? Like, you know, and you know, you right? It's something
Yeah.
you can all
Yeah,
kind of relate
definitely,
to.
sure.
Or how did this tree get planted here? Because it's not like the other trees, you know, surrounding, right? And so this kind of really deals with that. And the narrators are all different. As the inhabitants of the land and the building changes, so do the narrators, right? So it's
Oh, wow.
told through
Makes sense.
that perspective. So some of those narrators go away forever as their lives and or the, you know, animals or the fauna, you know, meet with their demise in some way, but others don't, and sometimes their stories intersect, and or they reappear later in ways that you may not expect, right? And so,
That's
and the
fun.
story is, the concept, like I said, is great. How things are all intertwined. Like I said, Daniel Mason is a celebrated author, finalist for the Pulitzer for his previous book called A Registry of My Passage Upon the Earth, which I didn't read. I wasn't.
That's a very interesting title.
Yeah.
Right, I know, it might make you know see it, and he's a very, very talented writer. You know, I mean, and a very ambitious one too, because this is a hard thing to do. I think what
Yeah.
he did with it. I'm, you know, glad that I read this book. You know, but
So it's like a lot of stories in one storybook,
Yes.
right? It's,
Okay, but there's a
yeah,
but.
there's a but in it. I
Okay.
felt similar, is that I didn't feel the same passionate or the passion afterwards as many of the reviewers felt for it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I think I have to be honest with it,
Yeah.
is I really, really wanted to love the book.
Yeah.
It's not a bad book, and I think it's a good book, and it just wasn't, it didn't fit all the way for me. I felt like there were pieces of the stories were unexplainably long sometimes, or unexplainably too short, and for no rhyme or reason why, and it left me wishing that some areas would end, completely.
Oh,
like,
really?
like we were, okay, we're just done with this character. I'm not getting anything more, or please. Or I felt that I was missing really big relevant information from some other areas, and so, but I guess that's hard to, when you're trying to tell a story for that long, you're gonna have to, I think, as the author and the writer, right, decide where you're gonna
expand,
where you're gonna
what's-
stop and expand on.
Can be tricky.
Now, is
Very
it
tricky, yeah.
broken down into different stories instead of chapters? Like
No,
this story in this period and then the next story,
It's
or
broken down into chapters, and no, it's not broken down into stories. It's broken down into chapters, and so looking at it, you don't really know when a particular story.
what
will
time
end.
period?
No, like,
Oh, okay.
we could be like, there's one involving a man who moves there to start an orchard, right, with his 2 daughters in the wilderness, and that goes on for a really long time, but over several chapters, and the next thing you know, and then and a new chapter starts, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm dealing with somebody else now. So it's really,
A little disjointed.
but maybe I missed something, because there are interspaced at the end of some of the chapters. Sometimes there are like maps or little pieces of music or pictures sometimes,
okay.
and I would spend I tried to in the beginning. Now, I'm not a browser. I don't skim over things. I usually read, there'd be a picture, there's a guy with his catamount. That's the catamount that we see on the cover.
Right.
But I'm or there'll be just another picture like this.
I love pictures.
See, and I normally do too, but I'm
I do. I love looking at every
I
detail.
feel like they were meant to mean something. Some of them were songs.
I kind of wished this would
Is that
be.
a seal? What?
I don't know.
Look, at first it's a what's that word that it's not what it is, but
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia.
see, I feel like that would make an interesting
dirty.
cover.
Yeah, that would have been a nice cover.
Yeah.
But I found myself at the end trying to figure out what do these pictures mean and why are they relevant, or what is this little piece of a song? He'd have this
Right,
whole
why did
song.
he- yeah.
Why is that there? Or this a chart. And it
And that you didn't get an answer?
no, I didn't really get it.
It didn't have to do with the time period?
I think it might have, but it just kind of went over my head. Maybe I'm not smart enough. I don't know. And then I found myself getting distracted by what did I miss some sort of piece of information here? I'm like, you could have just added more about that character I wanted to know about on that page. Give me this. But other than that, I think it's good. All in all, I'm going to give it a 4 Wildflowers.
Okay,
not a
that's
bad
a
one.
decent score.
For the concept alone, I think it helps. The concept is great. I love it. And I just think it was very ambitious, and it's a hard thing to do. So I think it's great that he tackled it. And it's not bad writing it anyway. I would recommend it. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Alright,
there
so
you
that's
are.
good.
But I think it's important to do things like that when you see a lot of praise on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
To kind of say, oh, I tried it, but
Yeah, I mean, how many times over the years we all worked in bookstores and something's on the bestsellers list for
Yes.
a year and people are raving, and then you bring it home and you go, oh,
Yeah.
this book
Yeah.
isn't that good.
Yeah,
So-
no, I tried to, when I was seriously becoming a writer, I did pick books off the bestseller list.
Yeah.
And there was one in particular that I got, and I literally threw the book across the room and said, that's not the kind of writer I want to be.
Right.
And I won't say who it is, very well-known writer. And I was like, oh no. She dressed up her characters like Barbie dolls, and it just was not me.
right.
So I knew what kind of writer I didn't want to be. So, and it was on the bestseller list. So,
Well, I always found myself the bestseller is never really being drawn to.
Yeah, I don't even look at the bestsellers list.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll look at Goodreads before I look at the bestsellers list. And at least, like Goodreads, like you could read what other people say, and most people are pretty honest on Goodreads
Oh, yes,
too.
yes, sometimes to a fault.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
I really found a home in that Modern Literature Society Facebook page too, because I found a lot of those reviews are really spot on, or they don't like them either. This one actually got a review by the author you love, Maggie O'Farrell from Haddon.
Oh, okay.
See, she wrote right on the bottom there.
Oh wow, a monumental achievement of polyphony and humanity. I loved
Yeah.
it.
So I mean, it's so kind of, and it's it's definitely worthy. And sometimes, like I said, it's just not, you don't.
And maybe
Yeah.
a year from now you'd pick it up and you're like, oh my God, I love this.
Or I missed it completely because
Right.
again, sometimes it takes me a long time to click with certain things.
Yeah,
so.
I'm the same way. Certain books, like,
Yeah.
whatever. Well, I'm doing the topic. What are you doing this week?
I'm trying to find the
funny.
article I wanted to bring up for this discussion, and I can't find it anymore.
Well, that's okay, because I have enough to talk about.
She
I have
doesn't want my 2
Let's see,
cents.
what are we
Well,
talking about?
I'm talking about the history of the Ku Klux Klan.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Very enlightening.
Yeah, very enlightening, really. Well, I had to go back a little bit. So here's the beginning. Christopher Columbus likely transported the first Africans to the Americas in the late 1490s on his expeditions to the island of Hispaniola, now Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. Their exact status, whether free or enslaved, remains disputed, but the timeline fits with what we know of the origin of the slave trade. But any question about the status of black people in the colonies, free, enslaved, or indentured servants, was made clear with the passage of the Virginia Slave Codes of 1705, a series of laws that stripped away legal rights and legalized the barbaric and dehumanizing nature of slavery. As Guasco puts it, the Spanish, Portuguese, and English were co-conspirators in what we would now consider a crime against humanity. So I'm trying to understand why humans felt they had a right to do what they did. However, apparently, it was actually thought that black people weren't people. They genuinely thought they weren't people. And I remember my history teacher in high school saying that. He goes, no, they were not treated as people. They were considered like an animal. They were not considered people. And I'm like, that was just so bizarre for me. So the question was, are blacks human beings? Believe it or not, there was a time when the Supreme Court's answer to this question was no, not if they were slaves. They were not human beings.
And I think after slavery, when they got the right to vote, they were only considered 3/5 of a person.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was 1856, Dred Scott, a black slave, had been taken north of the Mason-Dixon line into Illinois and Wisconsin, where slavery was prohibited by the Missouri Compromise. Scott sued for his freedom and lost. The Supreme Court ruled that the compromise was unconstitutional. Congress, they said, had no authority to limit slavery in that way. So this is the mindset. What I'm doing is trying to go into history and think of the mindset of what people were doing. So in the court's mind, the choice to own slaves was an individual decision, a private matter for each citizen to struggle with, apart from interference by the state. If a person, in an act of conscience, chose not to keep slaves, that was his own decision, but he could not force that choice on others. Every person had a private right to choose.
Except for the slaves.
Exactly, because
They weren't people.
Yeah, they weren't people. So, in Missouri in 1847, John Barry Meacham was forced to close the school he had been operating in a St. Louis church basement. Earlier that year, the Missouri legislature had passed a law that made it illegal to provide the instruction of Negroes or mulattoes in reading or writing. They were not allowed to do that. Meacham and one of his teachers were arrested by the sheriff and threatened to circumvent the new state law in Missouri. Reverend Meacham bought a steamboat which he anchored in the middle of the Mississippi River. Right? He was creative, thus placing it under the authority of the federal government. The new floating Freedom School was outfitted with desks, chairs, and a library. Students were ferried back and forth between St. Louis and the Freedom School in small skiffs. The school eventually attracted teachers from the East. Hundreds of black children were educated at the Freedom School in the 1840s and 1850s. Those who could pay were charged $1 a month. One of the early students was James Milton Turner, who would go on to establish 30 new schools for African Americans in Missouri after the Civil War. Another was John Anderson, who received much of his reading and religious training from the school. Reverend Anderson later took over management of the school after Meacham's death. So now the attendance dropped off just before the Civil War, with only 155 black children enrolled in 1860. On January 1st, 1863, as the nation approached its third year of bloody civil war, Abraham Lincoln's proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforward shall be free. And here we start with the Ku Klux Klan. Angered many people, and so the Ku Klux Klan, KKK, was founded in 1865. Because I was curious, like, how did they start? Like, Ku Klux in Greek means circle, and the word clan was added while the members said it meant white radical brotherhood. A group including many former Confederate veterans founded the first branch of the KKK as a social club in Pulaski, Tennessee in 1865. Leading Confederate General Nathan Forrest was chosen as the first leader, or Grand Wizard, of the Klan, and he presided over the hierarchy of the Grand Dragons, Grand Titans, and Grand Cyclopses. These names. So from 1867 onward, black participation in public life in the South became one of the most radical aspects of the Reconstruction, as black people won elections to Southern state governments and even to the U.S. Congress. For its part, the KKK dedicated itself to an underground campaign of violence against Republican leaders and voters, both black and white, in an effort to reverse the policies of radical Reconstruction and restore white supremacy in the South. They were joined in the struggle by similar organizations such as the Knights of the White Camellia, which was in Louisiana, and the White Brotherhood. And I don't remember ever hearing about the White Camellia. Yeah, so by 1870, the KKK were in almost every southern state, and there was an underground campaign of intimidation and violence. And we've seen this. We've seen this in movies. We've seen this. Though Congress passed legislation designed to curb Klan terrorism, the organization saw its primary goal, the reestablishment of white supremacy, fulfilled through Democratic victories in state legislatures across the South in the 1870s. While its membership remained semi-secret, it had 11 governors, 16 senators, and as many as 75 congressmen. And it's like, again, I mentioned in the last podcast that I watched the Shawshank Redemption, and the powers that be, might makes right, and what they did. And I feel like when you have people in our government,
how many we have now.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Look, and
It's not really much different.
And that's exactly why I'm like, when I'm going through this, I'm like, this, except now they're coming out and just...
the KKK is still around.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So at least 10% of the black legislators elected during the 1867-1868 constitutional conventions became victims of violence during Reconstruction, including 7 who were killed. White Republicans derided as carpetbaggers or scalawags, and black institutions such as schools and churches. I mean, this is funny because the Republicans were
That's
the good
the
guys.
opposite, I know.
Yeah. Symbols of black autonomy were also targets of the Klan's attacks. Local Klan members often wearing masks and dressed in the organization's signature long white robes and hoods. and this is why they did, I looked that up, like, why would they do that? They wanted to pose as ghosts or spectral figures. That was their thinking. Usually,
because we're cowards and want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, that was what
that was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
it usually,
Yeah, that was an excuse.
Cowards.
usually carried out their attacks at night,
Cowards.
acting on their own, but in support of the common goals of defeating radical reconstruction and restoring white. So, I love the restoring white supremacy. Here we am. We bring these people over here as slaves, and now we want to restore white supremacy. The Klan activity flourished, particularly in the South, where black people were a minority or a small majority in the population, and it was relatively limited in other areas. Among the most notorious zones of Klan activity was South Carolina, where in 1871, 500 masked men attacked the Union County Jail and lynched 8 black prisoners. And this, when I read about this, when I was in high school, I still enjoy listening to Billie Holiday, but I had her records and stuff, and she had one called Strange Fruit. I did not realize what the strange fruit was. Hanging from the tree.
Yeah.
And then as I got, older and more aware, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's just insanity. So in the regions where most Klan activity took place, local law enforcement officials either belonged to the Klan or declined to take action against it. And even those who arrested accused Klansmen found it difficult to find witnesses willing to testify against them. So you're not going to win, these people. Other leading white citizens in the South declined to speak out. They gave them their approval. So it's like when you don't say anything, you're approving it.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm gonna, because I do have some questions for us. Then there were years of decline for the Klan, but then in the early 20th century, white Protestant nativist groups revived the Klan. Protestant, religious. Klan groups are careful to refer to their ritual as cross lighting, not cross burning. It's cross lighting rather than cross burning, and insists that their fires symbolize faith in Christ, who was not a white man, by the way. Let me just make that clear. But they were also staging rallies, parades, and marches.
But why would they put the cross on their lawn? What does that have to do with the religion against black people?
Does anything make sense? I mean,
So
Nobody
whatever they
questioned
call
them because nobody questioned
what does it
them.
mean?
So
What I'm just trying to understand. So are they
Yeah.
trying to say that
What
by
was their
putting the cross,
reasoning?
is that like if they say it's cross-line, that means like what we're doing is sanctioned religiously?
it sort of sounds like, that's why, again.
So not only they're bigots, but they're crazy too.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Okay, and so they were denouncing immigrants, Catholics, Jews, African Americans, and organized labor. So at its peak in the 1920s, Klan membership exceeded 4 million people nationwide.
This doesn't surprise me, and
No. Especially even in today's day and age.
Yeah, what is the membership now, I wonder? Probably more
very
than
high.
that.
Actually,
Since Trump was in office, I'm sure.
Well, look what happened after North Carolina.
right, yeah. The civil rights movement of the 1960s also saw a surge of the KKK activity, including bombings of black schools and churches and violence against black and white activists in the South. And I remember watching Walter Cronkite on the news, and you're seeing this on the news, and you just, you're a kid and you're so far removed from it, but you knew this was not good. In 1965, Lyndon Johnson delivered a speech publicly condemning the Klan and announcing the arrest of 4 Klansmen in connection with the murder of a white female civil rights worker in Alabama.
Yeah,
The cases
You're not
of
doing that well here.
no. The cases of Klan-related violence became more isolated in decades to come, though fragmented groups became aligned with neo-Nazi and other right-wing extremist organizations from the 1970s onward. As of 2016, the Anti-Defamation League estimated Klan membership to be around 3,000.
As of what year?
2016?
2016, while the Southern Poverty Law Center said there were 6,000 members total. But just because the numbers are low, it doesn't mean that racists don't exist.
But this is just clan members. There are so many more
There's all hate groups,
Exactly.
all these
that
other
are
hate
out
groups,
there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and they've been growing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely, and they're getting away with it. But let's look at some of the horrors that the KKK has done. Because they think they're so. I don't know what they think. And they think that all the black people should not exist, is really. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921, known as the Tulsa Race Riot,
Oh, that was horrible.
it's just sickening. Between 21 and 200 black people were murdered after residents began rioting when a black man was accused of raping a white woman. And the KKK founder participated in the riot. Emmett Till. We're familiar with Emmett Till. 14-year-old black boy.
Yeah.
They couldn't even figure out what he looked like after they beat him. Medgar Evers, a civil rights activist, husband and father, was assassinated by the KK member Beckwith in his driveway while returning home from a meeting with NAACP lawyers in Jackson, Mississippi. There's so many. It was a quiet Sunday morning in Birmingham, Alabama, around 10:24 on September 15th, 1963, when a dynamite bomb exploded in the back stairwell of the downstairs 16th Street Baptist Church. The violent blast ripped through the wall, killing 4 African American girls on the other side and injuring more than 20 inside the church. It was a clear act of hatred. So, all right. So we know the KKK serves no useful purpose. So most thinking people know that racism is wrong, but what can we do to combat it? That's my question for you. What can we do to combat
That's a
it?
question.
Yeah.
Well, teach your children, first of all. Everybody has to, impart that information to them and change the way we teach our children in schools, our real history. I never heard of the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riots.
No, neither did I.
Until a couple of years ago when the project, what the hell was it?
Oh, I know what you're.
Yeah.
Okay, but
1619.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Right.
And then there were all these articles and newspaper articles and books about it, and all these things came to light. And in the Tulsa, the race riots there, those people, the reason it happened wasn't only because I know somebody was accused of raping.
Right.
It was because they were successful business people. That town that they did this in, all these black people had businesses and
right,
old
yes.
houses, and
Yes.
they were very successful. And these
mean
freaking white people,
they were acting
they
like
were
they were
living,
human?
they were acting like Americans. The American dream
Yeah.
was coming true for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for us to teach real history, even though Ron DeSantis doesn't want us to.
No,
and not only him,
yeah.
but people want to whitewash things.
Oh my gosh.
Don't whitewash it, because if you can't face your history, you can't change your history.
Exactly. Did you have anything to add to that?
Briefly, and it's a big question, but I think it goes beyond just education in the schools. I think it's the job of the parents.
Well, I said that
Day
too in
one,
the beginning, like
because
teach your children.
It's what you see on TV. They pay attention. It's it's like that musical Into the Woods. Careful, children will listen. What they
Yeah.
see. So they're watching you in the news. They see how you react. They see how you react when you see a person of color. Do you lock your doors, car doors?
Oh, yeah.
If you see one right away.
Interesting.
Kids pay attention to
Yeah.
how you react, and whether it's on TV, whether it's in person. Do you have friends of color? Do you, shy if people away, when your kids bring home a person of color or not?
Right.
They pay attention, and that's way before they're in school.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so it's
Yeah.
it's.
And in some places, like on Long Island, for instance, we're kind of isolated. Like our communities
Yes.
really aren't mixed.
Yeah, no.
And you know, like even I grew up in Brooklyn, and when I was growing up, the black people lived in another part of Bushwick, and the white people lived in this part of Bushwick, and like we didn't really intermingle. And until black people started moving in to the white people's part of,
right.
and that was when there was trouble, and then we had white flight. Everybody, so you know there was blockbusting and white flight. Oh, a black family moved on to our street, and everybody started selling their houses. The man was a friggin' doctor.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that reminds me of two things. When I first moved to Long Island, and I was looking, and I was with my in-laws, and I was in their house, and I'm looking for, you know, places where Rob and I could move to. And I would look in the paper, I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound like a bad price for the rent or whatever. Where is it? And I tell them the name, and I'm not going to say the name of it. Oh, no, you don't want to go there. There's blacks there.
Yeah.
And that just like stunned me.
Yeah.
Like I grew up upstate New York. We did not have people of color anywhere near, but I knew enough that, what does that make? Like you just said, if they can afford it too, what's the big deal? I did that to me. And then when I was, years later, when I was selling my house prior to this,
Yes.
and I had a neighbor next door who said, oh, you're putting the house on the market. I said, don't sell it to undesirables. And I looked at her, I said, I'll sell to whoever can afford it. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? I knew what she meant.
Oh, we all know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got that too when I was selling my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Somebody said to me, "Oh, who are you selling it to? Who's coming to look at the house?" And I said, "I don't know. The realtor is handling that."
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, so we have to learn to recognize and understand our own privilege as well. And I think that's a big part of it, you know, because sometimes we don't realize that we're privileged. And we have to examine our own biases and consider where they may have originated. I was very fortunate. Like I said, we had no people of color where I grew up, whatever, but my parents, my mom, I do remember one time, she did say that blacks and whites shouldn't marry, and she goes, I think it's in the Bible. and it does say not to intermingle, but that's whatever. Yeah, but
People
that was
shouldn't pay attention to what's in the Bible.
exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you have to validate the experiences and feelings of people of color. And I couldn't help but think about this when they recently changed the names of the Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's rice. I won't say who I was discussing it with, but they didn't get it. They just thought, what's the big deal? I said, well, the fact that you don't understand doesn't mean it's not a big deal.
Well, because we always looked at it like to me, it wasn't a racist trope. It was like, you know, Aunt Jemima. I grew up with Aunt Jemima.
Right. Yeah.
You know, on the pancake syrup and Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
You know, the kindly black man. He was a face on a box.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't like racism to me. So when they realized that it was insensitive for some people to, you know, categorize them almost. You know, like this is what black people are. These are their roles.
Right.
You know, growing up, I never thought of that, and I do understand that they had to change that.
Right.
But
yeah,
you know, a lot of people.
I agree with you. I went through the same thing with you.
So,
I was just I didn't look at it as you know. But I did call somebody out on Facebook a few years ago, and she had a picture of President Obama looking like a chimpanzee.
Yeah, I came across that too with somebody. on
And so I
Facebook.
called her out on it right away.
Yeah.
And I had her cousin, somebody else said, thank you, Carol, thank you for saying that. And she goes, oh no, I was just sharing it because I wanted people to see that it's out there.
No.
No,
bullshit. You don't share stuff like that.
Exactly.
No.
I was horrified. I was horrified. I was like, no, you got to speak up. You got to say.
Absolutely.
And I
Well,
said,
look what Michelle Obama went through.
Oh,
Didn't they
my
call
gosh.
her an ape with high heels or something?
Yes. Horrible. It's just horrible. Yeah. So we have to challenge the colorblind ideology.
Yeah.
And this one I had to I said, being colorblind ignores a significant part of a person's identity and dismisses the real injustices that many people face as a result of race. And I think maybe I try to be like, it doesn't matter if you're black or white or whatever. But no, if you're black, you have a culture. I
Yeah,
should respect
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had, you know, so we must see color in order to work together for
You just have
everybody.
to accept that color.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's you know, they have to accept me, you know. We have to call out racist jokes and comments. Oh yeah, I says share stories about this. Okay, yes. So when I was upstate and I was sitting with my family or whatever, and at the time my brother was dating this woman, and there were Brazil nuts, and she called them the name. I don't know if you know the name that they're called. Have you ever heard of the negative name that they're called? I'm not even comfortable saying it.
What did they call them? Nigger nuts or
Nigger
something?
toes.
Oh.
Nigger toes?
Yeah.
I never heard of that. No.
And she said that, and I literally gasped. And she goes, "What?" I said, "They're Brazil nuts." Oh, well, we always call them, and when I was a kid, that's what I had heard. And then my mother was like, "No, no, no." My mother corrected it. But I said, "No," I said, "that's racist." And she just looked at me, and everybody kind of just looked around, and I was in a room full of upstairs. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, no. No. Don't look stupid. They're Brazil nuts. But yeah,
Right.
that's what they used to be.
Wow.
Yeah, well, they probably still call them that. But yeah, that was something that I don't hesitate speaking out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we have to be more vocal. And sometimes people say, "Oh, don't be so sensitive," but it's more than that.
Yes, of course it is. It's a big problem in this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it became a bigger problem since Donald Trump came
No.
on the scene, because people
Absolutely has.
feel more relaxed about being assholes.
I call it, when he became president, kicking the wasp's nest, where he just opened up this thing where it's okay.
I think of it more of as like, you know, I always think of like, you know, Clash of the Titans, the original movie, when they call in the Kraken and they call the horn to release the Kraken from underneath the ocean at the end.
I never saw the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Me neither.
There's a scene where
When I like-
the Kraken is like this beast that lives under the
Yeah.
ocean, where he's gonna come and like kill, you know, the Perseus and all that. But the way they call and they blow on a horn, whoo, and so as a release. And I feel like that's what he was doing when he
That's right.
uses his words as a beacon
That's
to
right.
release the Kraken is what he's done.
Oh, yeah.
And he's now
Yeah, it's like opening Pandora's box.
and it's called and not only that, like what you had said when you chastised, well, when you corrected, you know,
Right.
rightly so, the woman for using that. I think maybe that time, and probably up until Trump, people would have, oh, okay, you know, or whatever. But now, what it's become more is you correct, and it's more like now, oh. No, look at you must be anti-police too,
Right,
or black.
right,
You're
yeah.
one of these black. You know that they're all this and that, and
Yeah.
now it's becoming you get the pushback a lot more.
Yeah.
Because they
And
think it's okay to be that person.
You have to be
you know.
one
Yeah.
side or the other, and I hate
Yeah.
that. You can't be for the police, but also
Right,
for
right.
the rights of black people
Exactly.
as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And also
that's the
recognize that
market.
there are some bad cops out there too.
In every
recognize
field,
it.
in every
Yep.
field there is.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
hate that now. It's like you have to draw a side, or they want you to, because they want to
Right.
be able to point. So everybody can
yeah.
be mad at each other, but nobody's listening. You can be right here. That's why we're
Right.
doing this too. At least why I'm here anyway.
Yes. Oh, yeah, me
To
too.
just say, look, it's not one or
Right.
the other anymore. It's just basic humanity.
That's right. It's right and wrong.
And-
what's right and, what's
And
wrong.
people are really are more vocal, because I saw a snippet. I didn't see the whole thing because I don't watch Bill Maher anymore. I used to, but I just can't.
Would you top me up? This is a good conversation.
But
A little bit.
Ann
Yeah.
Coulter was on, and she
Thanks.
she
I haven't
made.
heard of her in a long time.
I know. I was surprised. No, I'm good.
awful.
I was surprised to see her on, but she was talking about that it's blacks that do most of the crime, and I'm just like, don't let her get away with this.
Yeah.
Don't. Number one, years ago, I learned it's not the color of the skin that makes the crime; it's the poverty, it's the
Exactly.
desperation.
I was just gonna say that. Like, there's not a lot of crime in Oyster Bay because everybody's doing okay there.
Right.
But then you go into like a poor neighborhood in a part of Brooklyn or Manhattan Those people, they're desperate people.
Right.
Their schools aren't as good. Their
It's
kids.
how they're raised. I mean, you made the analogy with a dog too.
Yeah,
Not all
exactly.
pit bulls are bad. It's how you raise them. Not all
That's
shepherds
right.
are bad. It's how you
Right.
raise them. You know where they're coming from. What's their environment?
That's
you
right.
know, and
Yeah.
It's absolutely true, but I don't know. I knew it was a dark topic, and I just was like, when did the KK start? Like, were they what triggered that?
A lot of the timing too, what you were saying, tied into what we talked about, I think, when we were talking about education, when
Yes.
Brown versus Board of Education came
Yes.
about. That's when, boom, you
Exactly,
see a lot
because
of this.
black people had their freedom and now they were integrated into
And they can
society.
see, and the plan starts in motion. But
Yeah.
it's you know.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what gives people feel like they have the right. Like when the black people were sitting at the counter in the diner,
I know.
and the things they did to them,
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't understand that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't understand what gives them the right to do that.
I don't know. Ignorance, or that's
Yeah.
what they learned. That's what they learned
I
as
think
children.
it's fear.
too.
I think it's
Yeah.
fear.
Well,
and
it is.
ignorance.
It's like-
it's fear of losing what they have. People want to be comfortable. This is always how it's been. This is it. But if things change, people don't like change,
Mhm.
and they're afraid they're going to lose what they had. And that's why they put on. Why the KKK put on gowns. Why they did their attacks at night.
Yeah.
Why they do it under the guise of religion by
Yeah.
by cross lighting because they want to protect themselves. It's fear, and
Yeah.
the reason why people are doing it now, Donald Trump has a beacon right to the pulse of every
yeah.
terrified person,
That's
and they think they're all
And
tough.
especially
But these same
with the
people have to
immigrants.
surround themselves with thousands of guns or hundreds of guns because they're afraid. And they're cowards, and they are afraid.
Yeah.
And that's what he's tapping into. And know your strings are being controlled by an orange man.
Yeah.
You know,
I wouldn't even
with-
call him a man.
Yeah.
Well, how about in Charlottesville when they were all marching? Jews will not replace us.
Yeah.
They're
You know.
afraid of losing their jobs. Afraid. That's what
Donald
it's
Trump is
fear.
always saying, these immigrants, they're coming in, they're taking our jobs.
It's fear. It's fear. It is
Yep.
fear. You know, that's what
and
it
he
is. It's
feeds them fear
he
and they
feeds
eat it
them.
up.
He definitely-
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but probably most of those people are too ignorant to just think for themselves. Just think.
Yeah.
Think about what he's saying, listen to his words.
Exactly.
But it's
Listen
also, it's
to
a
what
lot of
he's
people,
saying.
well, the fear, my 401k is not going to be as high as it is. Fear of this or the, it's the
What does
people
that
with
have to do
money
with black
too, who
people
are
and immigrants?
because they're afraid.
They're not affecting,
But they don't know that. They're stupid.
the stock market. Well,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
all of them.
Well, no, it's true.
That's what it is. It's
Well-
fear. These are cowards, and it's the common thread throughout time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Well, the article that I couldn't find, I don't know how I found it in the first place. It's going on now, and it's in North Carolina. I don't know whether they're prosecutors or there's defense lawyers, but they're trying to fight the death penalty there because of the history of the Ku Klux Klan in that state and of all the racism, the history of racism in that state. And they're trying to get it overturned in North Carolina. That's happening now.
To overturn what now? The death
The
penalty?
death penalty, to abolish
to
the
abolish.
death penalty,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
to
All right.
abolish it.
Wow.
So, but
Okay.
it was, I started reading it, I found it too late.
Wow.
You know, it was like this morning and I was getting ready, I was taking a shower, and I said, oh, that's good to bring up with the Ku Klux Klan.
And it
'cause I
kind of
put
goes
in,
with your
yeah,
death
I
penalty.
know. I put in death penalty Ku Klux Klan, and that article came up.
What'd you get?
I think it was on Politico now that I'm thinking of it.
okay.
I'll find it.
Yeah. Well, we hope that you found this somewhat interesting. A couple of heavy duty topics for the last couple
Yeah.
we had, but some, you know what? I feel like lately
It's time to start talking about it.
we have to. It's scary, and like Peggy just said, listen to what your not just Trump, okay?
Yeah.
Listen to what Biden's saying.
Yeah. Listen
Compare.
to- yeah.
Compare the humanity.
Well, in Nassau County, Blake. He just, that's his name. He's the Nassau County Supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Blake is his last name, I'm pretty sure. He just passed some kind of legislation about trans high school
there was,
students in
yes.
sports teams.
That's right.
That
yes,
they're
I-
not allowed on
yeah.
any sports team.
Right. We have to be careful, folks.
Yeah.
This is scary times. Well, thank you for watching.
Bye.
This was number 70 under our belt. So,
Yay.
thank you, Judy.
Well done.
Thank you,
Carol.
Peggy.
Thanks, Peggy.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.
Yes.